Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another exciting edition of our new program titled Good Answer. I'm your host Malik and I'm very honored and pleased and it's my pleasure to host the Imam of America, the founder of Guide TV. He doesn't need any more introduction than that because you already know who he is. Of course, I'm talking about Shaykh Yusuf Estes.
Assalamu alaikum, Malik.
Wa alaikum salam, Shaykh. I really mean it's an honor to be here with you today.
It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, Shaykh. And of course, we have these handsome young men, mashallah, in the studio audience. Assalamu alaikum, you guys. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We have some good questions. We hit the streets of London, and these guys have some good questions for us. I hope you guys have some good comments and some good answers as well, inshallah. Shaykh Yusuf, as I said, we hit the streets of London, and we got some questions from non-Muslims and Muslims alike. Let's check it out. They have some tough questions for you. Do you think you have the good answers?
Well, let's find out.
All right, you guys, let's check out this interview.
Anil, I'm from Nepal actually. It's been like 2 years studying in UK. And about Muslims, I want to ask is, why did the women from the Muslim community put on burqas?
All right, Sheikh, I didn't actually catch, he said
burqa. He's asking, why does a woman have to wear burqa?
Okay, in Islam. Should we get the comment from the studio audience before we get the answer from the Sheikh?
Anybody have something for us over here?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, my name's Tayyib.
Alaikum salam, brother.
That's a good question. Inshallah, we're waiting for the Sheikh to give us a nice answer.
What do you think, Sheikh? Why?
Well, first of all, what's burqa? Let's deal with that word burqa.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, actually, you find this in Afghanistan. That you see the women, usually they wear a blue one, I don't know why, and it's covered all over, and they have like a fishnet in front of their face, something like this. And I've never actually seen a woman wear that.
I've never seen it either, but I certainly hear about it a lot.
In the clips that you see on YouTube, or if you see something on the news and so on from Afghanistan. But let's deal with hijab itself. Okay. What is hijab? Because that's the Arabic word. And abaya, the dress that they wear. Niqab, when they put the cover over their face. And I will tell you that in my own family, I have 3 variations of this. I have my wife, she likes to cover up pretty much everything except the hands, and portion of her face will show, all right? Then I have one of my daughters, she wants to cover up everything. She wants to cover her eyes, her hands, gloves, everything, and even if she's going to have her eyes there, she'll put sunglasses on.
Okay.
She likes it.
What's the third variation?
The third one, she wears regular, well, they say regular hijab. The sisters like to put a little color in the thing, and it's not just all black, and her hands will show, her face will show, and she's comfortable with that.
Okay, and that's probably the most common type of hijab we see today.
It is the most common. And in the case of the younger one who has her face show, she said that because of her breathing problem, she, like me, have a little breathing problem, she said she would kind of like to do like mom with the niqab part, but she has to be patient with this. So then we have other sisters. Many sisters come to Islam. They like to wear a little scarf on and just a long dress, something like this. And you see variations. And then you have some Muslim sisters, they don't cover their hair at all.
Right.
And they just wear normal clothes. And why do they wear what they wear? Because it is in their mind what's acceptable. Now, this is normal for a human being, by the way, to wear clothes that they feel are acceptable.
Right, of course.
It's acceptable in your community, acceptable in your home, acceptable into school that you go to.
And your culture. Acceptable in your culture.
That's what we're coming to.
Okay.
So it becomes culture versus what? Versus what Allah has said.
Excellent point.
Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us in different phases and different things. One of them is our clothing and how we dress. For a man, let's talk about a man's dress, for instance. It is an obligation for every male Muslim to be covered at all times, from his waist to his knees. He mustn't show the navel or belly button.
Right.
Nor must he show any part of his knee. That's why you see the ones who play basketball, they have the real long shorts. They're not really shorts, they're longs.
They have to cover that even when they're playing sports, right?
Yeah, they do, yeah. And you find that like Hakeem Olajuwon and so many of the famous basketball players that are Muslims, they want to wear the longer version. They don't want anything to show their body.
That's not permissible.
And also, when we pray as men, it's important for us to cover our upper torso as well. And when I first came to Islam, I didn't know that. But yeah, in addition to this covering here, the aura, as it called, we also must cover the upper portion when we pray.
Okay.
Now, let's go to the ladies. Ladies also have the same rule. They have to cover the area from here to here. That's now in their home. Even in front of their littlest children,
okay,
they mustn't show this area.
They still have an aura in front of the children.
But a lady, she can expose her chest to her baby because she's giving it milk.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, of course, right.
No, this is true. It is. And a lot of us never really thought about the concept. So it's the same up to the point that what? That now when she prays, though, she also, like the man, must cover herself up. But in the prayer, she has to also cover her hair. And she must cover everything except the hands, the face, in her prayer.
Okay.
This is very important.
Excellent point.
All right. Now, that's the kind of dress she assumes whenever there's a man around who's not supposed to see her.
Right.
A man who's not closely related should not be looking at her shape, not looking at her hair, not looking at her ankles or, you know, anything like this. So this begins to help you understand the interpretation now of the verses. Now, I did hear a question that came, somebody sent it to us, and they were asking like this. They said, well, even though it's not in the Quran, so why do these women wear this thing called hijab? And I have to stop them, and I say, hold on, guys, you can't ask a question like that. Because it is in the Quran.
Okay.
You're assuming something that's not true.
Okay.
So this brings us back to something else we've talked about in previous episodes. When we're going to answer a question, we've got to remember who's asking and why they're asking. Because we should respond back to anybody. I don't care what the question. We should respond back and say, thank you for asking me about my religion.
It gives us a platform to speak.
It also shows the decency of a human being to another human being. Second of all, I should mention that we have the truth in Islam. We know what Islam teaches. And then we have the proof to back it up. This is the source where I got it from. This is the Quran, and this is what I'm about to do right now to show you from the Quran. But before I do, I will ask you, when you hear the answer to this question, if you like it, you see it as a benefit, are you in a position then to move to something better for yourself? Okay? And along the way, we'll find questions like this that have a mistake. It is in the Quran, so let's check the Quran. A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. And Allah says, it's in chapter 24, verse 31, and tell the believing women. Stop. Why did I say and? Because it says wa. So that means you must go to the verse before it, otherwise you're reading it out of context. Before that it says, tell the believing men to reduce the amount of their vision. It does not say look down. A lot of Muslims think it says
say lower the gaze, but that's not what it says.
You lower the amount, like you lower the volume on the radio, or raise the volume on the radio. You see?
Right.
So it is lowering that. It means you're allowed to look in the direction of the lady and observe, okay, this lady, she's talking to me. And occasionally you can glance over, give it, but don't be like, okay, hot mama here. No, it doesn't work.
Okay, that doesn't work. I'll take your advice.
No, what we're saying is that in the Quran, Allah has told the men, first of all, to lower their gaze, guard their private parts, okay? And this is better for them, and this is what Allah is instructing them. And, now go to the next verse, and tell the believing women to reduce their vision, lower their gaze, guard their private parts, and draw their khimar down over juyubihinna. So it didn't give the man this direction to cover himself up. But the man is the pushy one in this subject here. Okay. He's been told by Allah already, warned. But Allah already knows that men are given to breaking commandments, right or wrong.
Right.
So the lady is protecting herself here. She must lower her vision, reduce it down, don't be staring at the men. Also, guard her private parts, but here's a way to guard yourself against the advances of these guys who are not obeying the Quran, including those that are not even Muslim.
Right.
And including some who say it's not in the Quran and claim to be a Muslim, but it's clearly there. Now, let's look at what is khimar. Khimar is a very long scarf that women used to wear on the back of their head like a ponytail. Now, when the order came, it was to let it up, over, and down. That's why it says draw it down over Juyubihinna.
Okay.
And so some women thought it meant to just put a scarf around their neck and cover their chest, because this Juyubihinna, their chests, or their upper torso, the part of a woman where her breasts are.
Okay.
Literally, it's the meaning.
Okay.
But if you draw it from top to bottom, you see how that some got the idea to cover the faces.
Your face, right, I see.
Now you see where it came from.
Right.
But in Sahih Bukhari, now we'll go to the Hadith, in volume 6, English translation, chapter 220, Hadith number 282, it says that Aisha radiallahu anhu, she made dua, she prayed, supplicated for these women who were from Mecca, who had transferred up to Medina.
Okay.
They live now in Medina, and that's when the verse came, when they lived in Medina.
Okay.
All right? So she called them muhajirin.
Right.
These are
Immigrants.
muhajirs.
Right.
They made hijrah.
Right.
Immigrants. So for these immigrant women, when they heard this, they tore their aprons, murts.
Right.
They tore them
To cover
and
themselves.
covered their heads and faces. This is what it says.
Okay.
So she made dua for them. So a lot of people understood from that, okay, that's the right way.
Okay.
What is meaning that, look at the enthusiasm these ladies have, they're so committed. And it's known from another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the women of Mecca were much more committed and stronger. They're tougher, we'll say,
okay,
in how they understand Islam. So they immediately cover themselves all up. Don't take any chance.
Okay.
And all of the wives of the Prophet had to cover their faces. This is known.
This is well known.
Established.
Okay.
Now another verse in the Quran also tells the Prophet, Ya ayyuhan nabi, O my Prophet, Kul azwajika, your wives, wa banatika, and your daughters, and the believing women, that when they go out to draw their abaya all over, their hijab, all over their bodies completely when they go out, to be recognized as what? Believing women.
Right.
Now, in the other verse I mentioned before, it also went on to say not to show off their adornments, not to show any attractions, not to stamp their feet, etc., etc. But we understand from all of this that it is in the Quran, and how women interpret it, that's going to be up to them and their understanding. But at least we know where is the foundation for this.
Excellent. That's a good answer for a good question. But before we go to a short break, I just want to ask you this. The gentleman the gentleman asked us, he said, why do they have to? So do you see in the question, they have the mentality in the Western countries.
Of force.
Of force. So can we talk about that in the next segment, inshallah?
When we come back.
All right, you guys, that means you have to stay tuned to our program. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Shaykh Yusuf Estes. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your favorite program, Good Answer. I'm here with Shaykh Yusuf Estes, the Imam of America, the founder of Guidance TV. And Shaykh, thank you for staying with us. Alaikum salam. In the previous segment, we were talking about that gentleman who he said immediately, he said, why are women forced to wear this hijab? And we are both in the United States, and we know Americans in particular, they're really hung up on this. They ask me a lot too. They're always hung up on this. Why do women have to wear hijab? Why do they have to cover themselves? Why? What about freedom? What can we say about this? It's a good question.
I think we should include our studio audience on this one.
Those guys? Okay, we'll include them this time. On this, go ahead, brother, in the front row.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother.
My name is Ayman, and Malik just said a very good comment. Why do people think that women are forced to wear the hijab?
Thank you, brother Ayman. What do you think, Shaykh? Do you have a good answer?
Why do people think whatever they think? Well, there's a lot of reasons people think what they think.
Yeah, right.
A lot of it's going to be from the media. A lot of it's going to be also from things they might see on YouTube or Facebook. Could be some things in emails. It might even be, listen to this, actual contact with Muslims themselves. For instance, where are you from? What area of the United States?
North Carolina.
North Carolina, all right. In North Carolina, probably you're from Raleigh or Charlotte?
Charlotte, yes.
Charlotte, okay. In that area, you don't have a lot of Muslims, but you have some. And you might see some wearing the hijab, like typical Muslim anywhere going down the street. And it should come in our minds, and it would, somebody must be pushing this lady to do that. Here in North Carolina, the capital of Redneck City, come on, give me a break. Why is this lady doing this? They must have a gun at her head or something.
Poor lady, her husband is probably a mean guy, beating her up.
Well, actually, that happened to me when I was just thinking about Islam in the early days, I saw a lady come in the mall where we had a store, and she was wearing this cover.
A face cover as
No,
well?
just the
Hijab.
hijab.
Okay.
And I felt like, oh, you poor soul. Somebody should liberate this lady, let her be free. This looks so oppressed.
Right.
Oh, I felt so sorry for her.
Right.
Now I'm living with ladies who I'm telling them, you guys are tough on yourself. Islam is not saying all of this, you know. They said, look, we want to wear the way we want to wear. Okay. But from my humble opinion, which is not worth much, I would say that it's clear, no doubt, women should cover, no doubt. Muslim women, they should cover themselves, cover their hair, yes. But as far as the covering the hands and the face, I think that depends on their circumstance, where they are, what is the culture of the area, what is accepted by the people there, and then their own families. Okay. And then their own feelings too should come into play. Do you like to do that? You don't like to do it? God, don't kill yourself. Don't put Islam, you know, like choking yourself to death.
Don't make it so difficult for yourself. But what's the controversy? What does it matter if we come from a society that claims to be free? If this woman wants to wear a bikini, no problem. If she wants to wear a headscarf, what's the problem? I don't understand why the controversy around the hijab.
Because of oppression. I think that our brother Ayman hit it right on the head, because they're afraid these women are being oppressed. And if this is the case, then somebody should say something. If it's the case, then for sure somebody should say something. Who's going to defend these ladies? Because in the opinion of the non-Muslim, oh, these Muslim guys, they're tough, they're hard, they're doing these bad things, these poor ladies, blah, 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 because they don't know. But many times we've interviewed the sisters and asked them, why do you wear this? And they never said, because my father forced me, because my husband forced me, something like that. But there could be cases where that happens. And if it is the case, especially like maybe somebody in North Carolina forcing his wife, maybe he married a Christian girl, but he's making her dress like a Muslim girl because he wants to think he's back home.
Right, something like that. Yeah. Where he actually is forcing her.
Yeah, in this case, he's a jerk.
Yeah. Sheikh Yusuf, would you believe my wife told me she had heard her friends tell her, you know, I actually feel free when I wear my hijab because I don't feel the pressures of Western society making me be pretty, making me show off. I feel comfortable. I actually feel free by wearing my hijab. What can we say about that?
And last night we saw some sisters, and I asked one sheikh who was with us, and I said, look, she's wearing a head cover, the proper head cover.
Okay.
But she's wearing makeup, and she's wearing blue jeans. Tight blue jeans. I said, Sheikh, what do you say? He said, she's wearing the hijab out of convenience. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's called convenience hijab. I said, what's that? He said, it means she doesn't have to do her hair. She just go and do them. And this is the only reason. Well, I don't know, you know, exactly why people do what they do, but it is clear in Islam that the woman should not show off her body. That's the main thing. And hair is an attraction as well. She should take care of this subject. If she chooses not to obey Allah on this, she is the one who is going to have to answer for it on the Day of Judgment. But it is not for me to rule her out of Islam, say, oh, she's not a good Muslim. You know? No, I will say that she's not following what we understand. But I still, we had, in this building where we are today, I saw two girls. They got in the elevator with us, and they were very polite. They said salam and everything. And when they got out, I said salam alaikum. I made dua for them. Neither one of them had on the headscarf. But I still speak to them, everything, because why? I don't know what's the reason.
Of course, I feel the same way. They are still Muslims. We should still respect them. Yeah, of course.
Besides, maybe they don't know. You know what happened to me once? This is a strange story. I was traveling and flying into some country, and when I landed, I had to change planes. Something happened with the luggage business, and I had to talk with some of the people. One of the key people at the ticket agent thing was a lady, and she had no hijab. Okay, but she's speaking Arabic and everything. And I was working with my luggage, doing some stuff, and she said, what do you think about me? And I said, what? It's the middle of the night, lady. I'm trying to change my luggage out here. And I'm looking at it, and she's a young lady, you know, and she's saying, what do you think about me? I'm thinking, what kind of question is this?
What kind of question is this, lady?
Here? And she said, what do you think about me? I said, what do you mean? She said, I'm not wearing hijab. I said, I recognize that immediately. What's your point?
Right.
She said, no, what do you think about me because I'm not wearing hijab? I said, it looks to me like you're not wearing hijab.
Right.
She said, do you think I'm still a Muslim? I said, you know better than me. And Allah knows better than all of us. Allah Alam. She said, well, I should be wearing hijab. I said, okay, that's your idea.
Right.
She said, I really do. I need to start. You convinced me. I'm going to wear hijab.
You didn't say anything.
Well, she did. Maybe because she recognized me, I don't know, and she wants to have somebody like me say to her, you need to wear hijab. Yes, I need to. I'm going to start doing it right now. But I didn't. I just went, okay.
That's what she expected to hear from someone with a beard. She said, oh, she expected that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That beard makes people think immediately, oh, this guy is like, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
tough.
no doubt about it. But the hijab is a very sensitive subject. Of course, we know that the women do it not out of force, but they do it in order to please their Lord, not in order to please. They're not.
It should be.
It should be.
But many times, you might think, oh, some women are just doing it to please their husbands, their fathers, their brothers, and so on. The most common question I get in email, believe me, is the sister saying, they won't let me wear it. Most common question, they will say, they won't let me wear it. I want to wear hijab. My father won't let me. My mom won't let me. I want to wear it to school. I want to wear it to the university. I want to wear it to work. And they won't let me.
What is the reason behind these?
Culture. There's some cases they'll say, well, we're living in a non-Muslim country and we're afraid people will shoot you or something.
Right, out of fear.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And they may be justified, but I feel like if a woman wants to wear the hijab and she's wearing it for Allah, Allah will protect her. And if they do something to her like that, then Allah will be the one to give her the highest reward.
SubhanAllah.
That is an idea I have. But at the same time, I'm not going to fault the one who is saying, I'm going to take the rukhsah, the concession here, from Allah, which if in these kind of dangerous times, if I have no food, I could eat pork.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. And in this case, I'm scared for my life, so I'm not going to wear the hijab. So if she has this idea, who am I to say something?
Right. She's accountable to Allah, of course, for her actions. Of course, these times are very difficult to say the least, and we see different things happening.
Let's not make Islam difficult for anybody. And let's sit together and talk and find out what's the way to get closer to Allah.
Excellent point.
And if a sister is getting closer, let's help her get closer. And if somebody has a notion that they're only doing it for the sake of their relatives or something, let's help them correct that notion. That's one way to look at it.
That's another good answer. Thank you, Shaykh Yusuf Estes. What about the studio audience? What's going on over there, you guys? Brother Ayman, Brother Bilal, how are you?
Yeah.
Brother Bilal, I believe you said you're from the UK. Is that right?
That's right.
So do you see a lot of sisters there wearing hijab or not?
Actually, where I'm from, Birmingham, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of women wearing hijab.
Do they experience difficulties from the society there?
Actually, no, they don't. Actually, you know, the hijab, niqab is a source of da'wah.
It's a source of da'wah, we can say, because people identify them as Muslims. Isn't that right, Shaykh Yusuf?
It could be he's got a good point. Did you know that I've had in Texas now, in San Antonio, Texas, check this out, Bilal. In San Antonio, Texas, my wife wearing the niqab, and a sister come up to her and start talking and want to know this and want to know that. It happened when we were in, where were we, in Dallas, I think one time, and a businessman came up and asked my wife, why does he force you to wear that? And we got in a conversation. And I was thinking, my God, you know, how does this open up? And some people became Muslim from this initial meeting and working with them later and learning more about what's Islam. The idea of Islam is not about your clothes.
Right.
It's about your heart. And when we talk to them, give your heart to the Lord, the only God, on His terms. Don't play around. Don't go through intermediaries. Stay away from all these, you know, pray through this, pray to that. No, just pray to Him. And this is Islam. You'll be surprised how many times they'll say, no, after I enter Islam, I'm ready for anything. No problem with hijab. No problem with niqab even. No problem doing salah. Because the biggest question in the life has already been answered. What's my purpose?
Right.
And that purpose, of course, is to worship Allah without partners.
Sheikh, we have about 1 minute left. Have you experienced sisters say to you, Sheikh, I would like to become Muslim, but I'm not ready to wear hijab?
Absolutely.
And what was your answer?
Many times.
That's a good question. Did you have a good answer?
I tell them, listen, the first step is you come in Islam and then let Allah and you work it out. Because to make a sin is one subject, but not to enter Islam, then you don't have anything.
We could possibly lose them forever over one sin. it's better to be Muslim and make this sin than not
And
be
whatever
Muslim.
the sin is, if you're a Muslim, at least you're a Muslim, you can learn about it, try to repent from it, get help from Allah.
Real quickly, the beard. I compare the beard for the man as the hijab for the woman, isn't it? Especially in the Western countries.
Maybe
because
not.
We are identified with our beards.
Maybe not.
Why
That's
not?
true. We identify with it, but maybe in another program we'll get into more details. But I think these are separate subjects.
Okay, thank you, Shaykh Yusuf Estes, once again for being with us today. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode, inshallah. And you guys in the studio audience, thank you for your wonderful questions. I look forward to seeing you next time as well. Dear viewers, you guys don't miss another episode of Good Answer. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.